my ball speed and getting higher at him and just trying to keep that going and stretching out and stuff. But like in a whole, I want to be a tournament bowler and all that stuff. Just
I mean, you're not training your mind to be a tournament bowler though. Like all the answers you're giving us are reasons why you're not competitive or why you're okay with where you're at and that kind of stuff. Like they're not necessarily the thoughts of like, what do I need to do to get better right now and how hard do I have to work? Because like that's the mindset most of the really good bowlers have or had at some point before they got good. Not that you're a bad bowler, but you
no,
know,
I get what you're saying.
there's almost like a level of accountability to like themselves that's like deeper than just like showing up to practice or showing up to get coaching. It's like at some point you have to take whatever you're learning and make it your own and figure out how to use it for yourself. And that's not just the physical part or the strategic part. That's like the thoughts in your head. That's figuring out how to pull out your best performance. Um, that's figuring out what lessons you can take every time you bowl. Whether you bowl well or bowl bad, you can take lessons from it, and then figuring out how to incorporate those into your game so that whatever, because nobody bowls a perfect block. It's like whatever mistakes you made, what are you going to do to be a little bit better next time? And
Yeah.
so a lot of the questions I'm asking you are kind of geared towards that mindset. And it just sounds like you don't have that mindset. Because the physical game's relatively easy to change. Um, where if you put in enough time, like it's gonna change. It's gonna like whatever you
Yeah.
decide is gonna happen is gonna happen in that physical game. The mind is way more difficult to change because that's like who you are as a person. That's how you interpret and process information. That's how you think about yourself. That's how you think about sport and your competition and your goals and all that kind of stuff. And usually the way people view themselves is the most difficult thing to change. So if you're not
Yeah.
if you're not training that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like you're not going to get good by accident, and you're not going to get good simply because you worked with a coach for a long time. You're going to get good because you decided to get good, and you took ownership of your development. Coaches are there to guide you and help you, but it's like it doesn't really matter who you work with if you're not the one committed to making the effort.
I just don't really know where to like start with all that without like completely overwhelming myself because I'll get really like focused on all that stuff and I will kind of beat myself up with it almost and then I'll just kind of go the opposite direction for a little bit or back to it. Like it's very in the moment, like on the day type thing. But
Yeah, but for the people in any sport, like their bodies and their minds might not necessarily feel the same every day, but they have something that they're doing consistently. They have thoughts that they're putting in their head consistently to bring out their best performances. Like almost like an actor rehearsing a script. It's like if you do it enough times and you practice it, you're going to get good at it. You're not gonna be good at it right away. So
yeah,
you know what thoughts do you think you need to pull out a better performance? What like some people get really good when they're angry because it narrows their focus and it helps them execute and it helps them observe better and they make decisions faster and it's like you're not going to beat them if they get mad. Other people, it's like when they get mad, it takes them out of the moment and they just focus on the thing that they're mad at. So it takes them out of that thought process. Some people, it's like they're doing breathing exercises while they're up there. Some people have like little internal mantras of like, okay, I'm just like, this is going to be a good shot, or I trust myself, or like whatever it ends up being. Everyone's a little different. I mean, there are plenty of like podcasts and books about all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you could, if you wanted to, read them or listen to them. But not knowing where to start, it's like it doesn't matter where you start. You just have to start. If you're overwhelmed, let yourself be overwhelmed and try to figure it out. Don't just go, oh, this is too much, and then revert backwards to, to whatever you're doing. It's like, okay, this didn't work. Let me try something a little bit different. Or this was too much for me that day, so now I gotta attack it at a different angle. Like I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to figure it out immediately, but I'm asking you to, start trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I guess I'll start trying to figure out different ways I could do that, and keeping that in mind on some of the things I'm working on.
Because ultimately, you're responsible for your own bowling. Like I could give you the best advice in the world, and if it doesn't make sense to you, and you don't use it, then it doesn't matter what I said. Like at the end of the day, you're the one throwing the shots. You're the one making the choices. You're deciding who to listen to and what to listen to and what you're going to turn into your game. So it's like, you have to own any decision that you make. I don't mean to just like shit on you about it. It's just that
No, you're fine. I mean,
that mindset is not one that a lot of the top level bowlers have. I don't even want to say a lot of them. None of them that I've met, have that.
yeah.
All of them, it's like, I want to get better. What do I have to do about it? Or they're like, I'm already good enough, and you're not going to tell me I'm wrong.
I gotcha.
I think sometimes it's okay to be overwhelmed, though. You know what I mean? Because it allows you to push forward. But if you don't want to be overwhelmed, you kind of stay stagnant where you were. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess.
Like you
Be
said,
comfortable
when you're
being
saying you don't know
uncomfortable.
where to start. Exactly. Exactly. I think it's time. I mean, especially since you've been doing really well, and the reason why you're not averaging 200 is because some of your some of your choices don't come quick enough, and the only way you can do it better is to actually think about it. Alan put it a little bit better than I did, but
No, I get it.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said 180. I was thinking you were like 205, 210 based on the videos I've seen recently.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's a compliment, Logan.
No, I know that. I
I'm not shitting on you saying, "Oh man, you suck." You should be at 200 right now, but even though you should be, we
Oh,
all
trust
we
me, I
all have to
know.
go through we all have to go through our trials and tribulations. I guess would be the
I think a big factor of it all is like the environment the environment I'm in doesn't really allow me to feel comfortable doing what I normally would have done, where I would have been more like competitive and hard on myself or focused into where my goals are. Where now it's like all my teammates, if I have any amount of care, they're just like they just blow it off. Other than Adam, I mean, it is just not the environment right now. Bunch of old people trying to have fun, and I shouldn't be in it.
I mean, I get it. That's a big reason I don't bowl League personally, because my competitive instincts don't match up with most of the League bowlers.
Yeah.
So I just choose not to put myself in that environment. But the times that I have put myself in that environment, to me, it's just more training. It's just like, okay, I'm in an environment that I'm not really comfortable in. There's a competitive disconnect, and I still want to hold myself to the standard that I want to hold myself to. So it doesn't matter what these people are going to think of me. I'm going to do what I think is best for me.
Yeah.
There's still being a team player and all that kind of stuff, supporting the team and whatever. But if I'm competitive, I'm competitive, and I'm going to put myself in that frame of mind the best I can.
I do really agree with
Uh,
that.
I mean,
Just with
I want to
even
beat
with
up on
college bowling,
Grandpa.
even with
I want to
college
stomp
bowling,
on Grandpa's feelings.
even with college bowling, we go through like I personally go through things where it's like some people aren't really there; they're just kind of there, and and yeah, I'm there to be the best, and I want to be the best. I want our team to be the best, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, some people aren't on the same page, but I mean, it's a team effort also.
Yeah, but them not being there to try to win isn't going to stop you from being there to try to win.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you start getting those mixer hits yet, Moose? Those light hits?
I've been working on it a lot.
How's that going?
I've gotten the mixer hits a lot. Trying to send messengers has been hard though.
Yeah, I haven't seen you bowl that much recently, but I don't know if you necessarily have the impact speed for it. And then center to center, if the gutters are like too deep or the sidewalls don't bounce enough, then it's just like hard
Yeah.
to throw them.
Yeah,
So I don't
I've
know
been.
if maybe your center plays a role in that or not, but
I feel like it does. I mean, I'm not throwing it that very fast. Um,
yeah.
I think I'm at like 14, 5, 15.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking for the messenger if you're throwing it that slow.
Yeah, I've really just been messing around like rotation into the pocket, how much of the head pin I'm using and stuff like that.
Is it changing like your ball choice and how you match up on the lane a little bit?
Yeah, I would say that it has a little bit, just like um, I feel like if I wanted to like use a little bit more of the head pin, I've been like going to more of like um earlier motions,
Hmm.
and when I've been trying to like use less of the head pin, I've been going to a little bit of a quicker motion. I mean, but not quick, but like a quicker motion.
Sure.
But I feel like it has changed that.
I know
Ball
for
choice,
me, when I'm like keying on getting the light hits, a lot of times I'm trying to like pick a ball or like a part of the lane that lets me throw it faster. Or if like I'm bowling on the fresh and there's just a bunch of oil, then I'm like using enough surface on the ball that lets me get my speed up a little bit. Not like crazy amounts. I'm not going to go from my medium speed to my fastest speed or anything crazy,
Mm.
but just a little bit faster. Where it's like, okay, normally I hit this ball with 1,000 grit, so maybe I'm going to hit it with 500 and see if I can throw it a little firmer. Because I'm trying to like get that impact speed up enough to throw the pins around more. Um, Or other times, if it's like later in the day and I'm trying to like make sure the ball maintains some speed, then I'm going to try to like, sometimes I'll try to get it in the air. Just that way the ball's not like slowing down as much or losing that much rotation before it hits the pins. So I'm like, I'll play with like whatever distance I'm using for loft, especially if I feel like I'm bowling on something longer, something with more oil. Because it's like, I still need to throw it slow to get it to read, or, relative to what I'm bowling on. So sometimes just getting it in the air brings a hit into play that I don't normally get. If I'm like trying to attack the head pin and trying to get that trip 4 hit, that's kind of where I'm like willing to let my ball get more forward at the pins and then like really attack the head pin, because I'm trying to find a way to like allow my ball to deflect so that when I use that part of the head pin, I don't split off of it. I don't know if I'm like using that much of a different type of entry angle or emotion as much. I would say I'm using a little slower motion when I'm trying to trip a 4-pin normally. But I think it's more about like, for me, when I'm trying to, like how I'm trying to attack the lane. It's like I'm not necessarily looking for anything dramatically different ball motion wise, but the way I'm going to create the ball motion I'm looking for is going to be a little different.
That makes sense.
Like, I'm going to a tournament this weekend, and I know it's on something that I'm like historically not that good on, and the field is very strong, like a lot of really good bowlers. And I know the mixer hits in play, and I've struggled to get it here because they put out so much oil, and it's like I have to throw it so slow to make my ball look right and just control the pocket. So I feel like I give up hits doing that. So I brought a couple extra options to where I have some options that are going to let me use more surface early in the day. So hopefully, so I can get my speed up a little bit more and like capitalize on that. And then later in the day, when they get chewed up because everyone's rev rates are so high, I'm actually bringing some stuff that's a little bit weaker than I think I need to see if I can get that to like hit at the pins a little bit better. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm at least doing something a little bit different than I have in the previous years to try to bring something into play,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, in the moment, I may or may not do it, but I'm going to have both options with me just in case.
Mhm.
Which you don't really get that option in the when you bring 6 balls to a tournament for college bowling. But that's Apollon's going to have to be your friend, and speed control's going to have to be your friend.
Yeah. I gotta say, listening to some of my teammates about like college coaching, and I don't know,
What?
it was just frustrating.
Why are you throwing it so slow? Is it because you're dealing with that much oil out there?
I don't know. I feel like it's just been I've been really trying to like take my arms out of play, and I'm using my legs, but I'm not using them. I feel like I'm not using them to like my full extent.
Do you have any side views of you?
Um, I might not. I don't think like it's probably been a couple months ago, but
Oh, well, I'm thinking more current.
I have a back view. I think.
Nah, that's not going to show me what I need to play.
I've got one that I think I've shown you before. I think it was like it was October.
Are you going to be home soon?
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back next week. I leave Friday of next week.
You said Friday of next week.
Yeah, well, I'll leave Friday, so I'll probably be there on Monday.
Okay, we can take a look at it whenever you're around over break.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta say, what you've been having me work on has been very frustrating. It's
Yeah, I mean the scoring paces are going to be high, so you got to controlling the lane and controlling the pocket with the smoother ball motions and everything is important, but you got to know how to strike with it too, and we got to figure out how to bring a hit into play for you and like do it on purpose. Um, Eventually, I want you to be able to have multiple types of hits that you know how to get, and it's not just like a luck based thing. It's like something you train for, because that'll kind of give you an edge.
Mhm.
But we gotta work our way up there.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
because
would I don't
ahead.
want to put a number on it because it's a little bit more fluid than that. But you're probably not going to start seeing that many messengers like reliably until you're in that like 16 and a half to 17 range.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I haven't seen you be explosive enough that I think you could create that right this second. So that
Yeah.
would be something you might have to train to. But we'll take a look when you come home before I have a full opinion of that.
Mhm.
Because maybe you can, and I don't know.
No, you're right. I don't think I am explosive enough at the bottom.
It's got to come from like Rick calls it profile leverage, but like when you're ankle to ankle at the top of your swing, and it's a little different for two handers, but how far back that ball stays while your leg gets in front of you, and then how much you're pushing off with that back leg will create that like natural tension. Like if you watch Ryan Barnes, his ball is basically like moving behind him almost as he's sliding forward. And so you think about how much tension that creates. He has issues because he's like, I can't throw it slower. He's like, I struggle when I'm trying to throw it slower because he just naturally creates that much like tension and explosion built into his game. And that that's something that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Um, and so I'm not trying to tell you have to change anything because again, like I don't know. But as far as the
Yeah.
physical part goes, if you're trying to bring the messenger hit into play, you would need another two to 3 miles an hour as like your baseline speed,
Mhm.
not as your upper end.
Yeah, I've noticed like a lot of um like I've been controlling the pocket like pretty decently recently,
Good,
just in
good.
practice and in tournaments. Um, but like I'll have times where like I'll go like it's controllable, but like I kind of don't get the hits.
Yeah, like your textbook strike carries, you might get a couple of off hits, but it's like then you look over and the guy who's leading the tournament, it's like where you're going double 10-pin double, he's going double messenger 10 that connects double for the 5-bagger.
Yeah.
And it's like you just lost 20 pins to him because of that one hit. I get it. I live that.
I feel like whenever I try to get more explosive, I tend to use my arms a lot, and it it can be that can be frustrating too.
honestly, I don't really care as long as you know where it's going and you can execute.
Yeah.
Like, if you want more power than gravity has to offer, you're going to have to use muscle at some point.
Mhm.
So it's like more of a timing of when it happens kind of thing than like don't use them at all.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're doing it as that ball's passing your back hip, it's usually more or less fine as long as your body positioning makes enough sense.
Mhm.
Like, as long as your elbow and your arm are in the right place and your body, your spine tilt and all that kind of stuff, it's like then you can accelerate as much as you want in it. There's some people who put their thumb in their ball and their thumb is clearing the ball like almost at shoulder height, and all they do is accelerate through it. And it's like you watch Anthony Simonson, it's like, I don't know, he fucking looks like he uses his arms.
Yeah.
He might use them better than you do. Like, I don't know what it looks like or anything, or what it does to your ball roll or your consistency and your ability to execute, subtle changes and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't want to say do it or don't do it, but you're
Just kind of
two-handed.
mess around with it.
Yeah, you're two-handed. Your advantage should be coming from how much power you can create. And even if you're not perfect, you're supposed to create enough power that it's okay. Within reason, trying to turn a two-hander into a one-hander with their timing and making them too smooth. It's like, okay, what's the point of the second hand then? Might as well just put your thumb in the ball.
Yeah. It's kind of like create a monster and then learn to control it.
Yeah, it's like most of the kids, like you get 10-year-old kids that or 13-year-old girls that are two-handed now that are throwing messengers all the time, and they're getting hits that 50-year-old men can't, 30-year-old men can't. It's like they're not doing that because they're smooth. They're doing that because they're throwing it out of their shoes, and then eventually somebody comes along and that smooths them out and makes them look a little better. But they develop that explosiveness when they're young.
Yeah. My coach down here actually had me switch to a 14-pound spare ball
Why?
so that
So you can throw
it
it
wouldn't
faster?
hook. Yeah, and it wouldn't hook.
That's fine. Are you making more spares?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I stopped losing it to like where my ball would like see the friction and come off of it. It would just still go straight.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know Andrew Hall uses 14 pounds. I think he's the only guy on tour that I know that does that. He
What
had a
for a
wrist
spare
injury.
ball?
No,
Oh,
just in general.
for like 14 pounds in general.
Yeah.
Didn't
I know
O'Neal do it for a little bit?
I don't know. Maybe. I know
I thought I
there are
heard
some
that he
guys.
moved to 14.
There's some guys that train with 16-pound balls because they're trying to develop their like hand action and the rev rate and everything, and they feel like if they do it with 16 and then back off to 15, that they're going to hit it more.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I haven't seen anyone make any crazy jumps in rev rate because they do that.
Yeah, I agree. Mm.
So what else you got? What do you want to talk about?
Um, what about like rev rate and stuff like that? Something I've been focused on a little bit, like also like my rev rate, like controlling like how much how much rev rate I have, like my ranges and stuff like that.
Are you talking about the physical action of doing it, or are you talking about like how to use what you can do?
Like how can I use what I can do? Kind of thing.
We talk about response times a lot, right?
Hmm.
Is a higher rev rate or a lower rev rate slower response time?
I would think the higher rev rate would be a slower response. Oh no, it'd be a quicker response time because it wants to
Yep.
wouldn't want to jump off of it more. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So now, what kind of response time pattern would you want to use the lower rev rate on? A quicker response time pattern or a slower response time pattern?
I would say a slower response time pattern, wouldn't you?
You would want to use a lower rev rate, a slower response time rev rate on a slower response time pattern.
Oh, slower response time on a. I think so.
I'd want to do it on a quicker pattern because I'm trying to make sure that the quicker response time pattern I can control it with slower response time physical options. So if you bowl on 30 feet of oil, because you've bowled on short patterns before, right?
Yeah,
Do you want to use your highest rev rate game one or your lowest rev rate?
I would say my higher.
You
Oh,
want to use
sorry,
your
my lower.
highest rev rate
My lowest.
when
My
there's
lowest.
30
My
feet of
lowest. Sorry.
why?
No, because usually when I use my highest rev rate, it kind of like there's so much friction that it wants to read really early and
It's
just
too quick. It's not that it reads
Yeah.
early. It reads too much. There's 30 feet of dry back ends, and the ball's going to change direction pretty violently if you start hitting it. So that short pattern, that's a quicker response time pattern on the fresh. Right, all the oil's up front, the back ends are clean, so that's a quicker response time pattern, oil pattern. So then you want to start off with your lower rev rates because there's slower response time options.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the pattern starts to transition and you get some oil getting dragged down lane, then you can start to use a little bit higher of a rev rate because there's oil down lane to where the ball's not going to, check as hard down lane. It's not going to be as quick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you can find a way in your mind to understand response times, it makes it simpler. If something's too quick, you need to slow, something needs to slow down response time wise. If something's too slow, you need to make it quicker. And it's that simple. It's not easy necessarily, you know what I mean, in the moment, but it makes it simpler.
It's like anything; it takes time. We just gotta look at it.
Sure.
Basically, yeah.
So on the fresh, you want to use your slower response time options. You want to use a little bit higher speeds, not necessarily your highest speeds. You want to use a little bit lower of a rev rate, not necessarily your lowest, but like the lowest that whatever you're bowling on will allow. You want to use your smoothest, your slowest response time bowling balls that the lane lets you use. And then as the lane changes, you can gradually get quicker. You can use a little bit less speed. You can use a little bit more side rotation, a little bit more rev rate, a little bit quicker bowling ball as those lanes change. Because the lanes will keep getting slower as you bowl on them.
That's a that's a different perspective of how I've been looking at it.
I mean, you just start off with all the oil up front and the back end's being dry. And eventually the back ends stop being dry because people, every time you throw a shot, you're dragging oil down there. And then you're removing oil wherever you throw a ball, throughout that body of the pattern. So friction starts appearing in the front of the lane. So now you're dealing with early hook and then oil down lane. And it's like, what are you going to do with that? The response time of the pattern changed. It doesn't even matter if it's a short, medium, long, sport pattern, house pattern, whatever. It's still what happens, right? Oil's moving, oil's coming off the lane, and all you're doing is that.
Mm-hmm.
The people that really know what they're doing, basically just like throw the same handful of balls every tournament, regardless of the pattern, basically. Because they just know, okay, I'm going to start with my slower response time balls. I'm going to move into my medium response time balls, and I'm going to finish with my quicker response time balls.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, there's some oil going down lane, game one. I'm feeling the oil down lane. So what am I going to do? Well, I might slow down a little bit so that it doesn't read the oil that much, the carry down as much. And now because I'm slowing down, I might move my feet one or two left. Because now that I'm slowing it down, it might hook a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I quickened up my response time by slowing down and then made a little lateral move to make sure it hit the pocket.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, there's early friction, and my ball hooked too early, is what everybody says. Okay, the response time of the ball, the response time characteristics I'm choosing, physically and the ball, are too quick for my ball to read that friction there. So I either need to find more oil to let the ball not respond to the friction there, or I need to use a slower response time option so that it doesn't hook as dramatically, it doesn't respond as quickly to the friction up front. It's not like you have to move left off of it. You can move left. I'm not saying don't or do. But if you think about it in terms of response times and what you're trying to accomplish, it just gets simpler.
Yeah, I
What
noticed that. Like, go ahead.
I was just going to ask what it was making you thinking, but then you started talking.
Oh, I was just thinking about like just going back and like remembering like when our coach here had us make some moves on the lane when we were bowling, and like kind of how you said like he was saying like, oh, there's like you can crate push like when you open it up and stuff like that and use your oil, and then but also like you don't have to. You could use the friction and just quicken up your response time.
Well, if you're using early friction, you probably want to think slower response times, not quicker, right? Like if your ball hooks early and it hooks dramatically, it hooks quickly. That's probably the worst motion you can deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like anytime it's too quick, that's going to be the worst ball motion you can deal with. But too quick and too early at the same time is like by far the thing that's going to like get you low scores.
Because it makes it too uncontrollable, basically.
Too uncontrollable, and it's like even if you get to the pocket, right? If you get forward and your ball loses rotation dramatically in the front of the lane, then it rolls out. And what are you going to do with that? You're going to 5-pin and 5-7 and 5-10 and 8-10 and that kind of stuff. And then you rotate one a little bit more to try to get it to hit. And then now it's rotating more, so it overhooks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay. And then you try to throw one faster, which does slow down the response time. And so you get it through the front of the lane where that friction is, but now there's oil down lane because that's the stage of transition you're in. There's all that carry down, and your ball just never hooks.
Yeah.
Like one thing you're going to hear all the time, my ball hooked early, and when I got it through the front, it didn't hook. Anytime a bowler bowls bad, that's what they're going to say. Like 95% of the time. And it honestly just all goes back to response times. If you're trying to attack that early friction, you're going to be using slower response times. If you're trying to find more oil and like shape it more or attack friction that's further down lane, then you have to use something that's a little bit quicker.
So it's basically so you have to like mix and match and like put it together and use what you want to when you need to.
Yeah, like sometimes it's like the early friction is the only thing that's consistent. So it's like if I'm moving across the house and that early friction is there on every single lane, I need to figure out how to attack that, because if I can figure out how to do that, then I can go from lane to lane and not see that many differences. And it won't take me that long to gain control of the pocket on the next pair.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Other times it's like, okay, there's consistent friction, wherever on the lane. And the times where I can't find consistent friction, then I'm like, okay, I need to use the slowest motion I can create because I need to figure out how to control the lane better.
Mm-hmm.
If the scoring pace is high, then, typically that means, not even typically, I'm going to say basically always, there's some level of friction that's consistent somewhere on the lane that you can attack. And it's a matter of like, how am I going to attack that? And sometimes, you might not find it until game 3 or game 4 when there's been enough transition on the lane to, that the bowlers created all that friction.
Yeah.
Right? Like enough shots went down the lane that they all wiped away oil. And now it's like, okay, now there's friction there that I can attack.
Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me of like when I would ask someone like, "Oh, what happened what happened?" Like if I'm moving pairs, and like if I were to ask someone like, "Oh, what's the differences between the two lanes?" And one's like they said, it's like, "Oh, it's like 10 boards different," kind of thing. Where it's
Yeah, that means they have a bad ball roll.
yeah,
It means they're probably doing something where their ball is seeing the differences way more dramatically than somebody else.
Mhm.
I don't really ask people about the next pair. I know you kind of have to because of the team thing.
Yeah, they kind of just tell me.
Yeah, but I kind of use my eyes more than I listen to other people, because it's like I trust my eyes more than I trust theirs.
Mhm.
if you have somebody out there that you can trust, then great. But I don't know. I try to figure out. I try to figure it out myself. Like I make it a point to go to the next pair before they finish bowling, so I can kind of watch where they're playing and that kind of stuff. And it's like, if I see 3 people with 7 baggers versus like 3 people all shooting 180 and they struck 2 times, I know there's going to be a lot more oil down lane on the lower scoring one because they shot more spares.
Mhm.
So immediately I'm thinking, okay, this lane's probably tighter down lane. You like those kinds of little things, And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm wrong about that because of topography or whoever started on the pair or whatever. But I try to watch their balls go down the lane more than I just make guesses.
Because guesses will basically get you nowhere.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean,
going in blind.
some of them are educated guesses where it's like I would personally rather make the move than not make the move if it's in my head. Because
Yeah.
I'd rather go down swinging and be like, all right, I'm going to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. And then if I'm wrong, I'm just going to adjust anyways.
Mhm.
Like I'm never going to kick myself for making a move that I shouldn't have made. Because I'm gonna be more frustrated if I don't make a move and I miss because I didn't make the move I thought I should make.
Yeah. Better to try than like not try.
Yeah, and
'Cause
I
if it doesn't
also feel
work,
like
then
over
you know,
time, your instincts will just get sharper. So the amount of times you're wrong with a move will just start to shrink. And it's
Mhm.
like I'm good enough and my ranges are good enough that what the fuck is the difference between me moving, 3 and 2 versus staying where I was? It's like if I move 3 and 2, I can still strike doing that, moving 3 and 2 right or left from wherever I'm lined up at. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like that's not that big of a move. I just moved 2 inches on the lane. Right? I moved 2 inches at the arrows in either direction. It's like, are you telling me I can't subtly change my speed or my rev rate or my rotation or something to where I can't strike doing that? Like, of course I can.
Mhm.
I'm not looking for like the perfect place to stand and the perfect place to aim and then, the perfect ball or anything. It's like, I'm just trying to create and I'm trying to strike doing it.
Mhm.
I don't know, Brian, you got anything to add to any of that?
No, I think everything was fine.
Logan, you
Sometimes
got
hearing a
anything?
different perspective is helpful.
I'm not really.
That is boring.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get my laptop. It's finally done.
Oh, yay. Good.
Yeah.
Dang, that was
So.
in there
Time.
for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that was
Yeah. Yeah.
thought
I
you'd never
think
see
there
it
are just
again.
a lot of people that. Yeah. I think there are a lot of people who are in front of me. So.
Uh,
Damn,
But now I've got it. So that's good. So I'm happy.
nice.
But I will talk to you guys later.